Yo, what's up guys? And today we saw Fantastic Four First Steps. So let's get into things. Let's review it. Okay, so my review on Twitter, here it is. Yes, I really did enjoy the movie. Really great. Not perfect, of course, because what movie is, but really good, and I got what I wanted. So I'm really happy there. You guys know what I wanted, I think, hopefully. I just wanted a definitively good take on the Fantastic Four. Same thing I wanted with Superman, and we won. If you guys wanted the same things, we won. The funny thing is, I'm not trying to be a hater. Both these other iterations of these characters and like Superman too, are just so bad that, or just so not for me that I feel like no matter what, my wishes probably would have been granted. But these are actually good movies, and they granted my wishes too. So if that makes sense. Yeah, it's not perfect, like I said. It has problems. We'll talk about the problems, but they are going to be very difficult to talk about because they're mainly story decisions. And, you know, I think it ties into, we know it ties into Doomsday, right? We're not going to say why or how. You guys can probably predict how and why. We know they're going to be in Doomsday, obviously. But it's kind of hard to see, like, I don't know the full story yet, because this might extend on into further movies. So it's kind of hard for me to judge it right now, but I have to judge it off of what I see right now. And maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get worse in the future. But I definitely want to see this again to make sure I'm not being too harsh on it. So yeah, let's talk about the positives. There's a lot of positives. The majority of this video, probably 90% of the video, is going to be the positives, and then 10% is going to be the negatives because there's so few negatives, but also I can't really talk much about the negatives. So like I said, the positives are the cast, the characters, the action, their chemistry, all the stuff like that. You know, a lot of people were mixed on the cast. So was I. I'm not gonna lie, I was too. Mainly Johnny and Reed, though, were the two people I was most mixed on. And honestly, I came out of it, I think, liking them the most, honestly, which is crazy to me. I wasn't expecting that. Johnny was my favorite before. I was thinking he was gonna be my favorite after, unless he like butchered the character. But they do something different, but it's still very similar. And I think it's different in a good way. The 60s, I also was not a huge fan of, the retro futuristic alternate universe 60s, because, I mean, yeah, we're getting the Fantastic Four in the MCU finally, but even once we finally get them, they're not going to be interacting with the MCU that we know and love. So I wasn't really too happy with that, but after seeing the movie, it flipped my opinion on that too, which I'm really happy about. I wasn't expecting those things, but they were just icing on top, you know? The 60s really justifies a lot of things that I also find positives. The stakes, very positive. Not positive, but the stakes are very high, which is a positive. The action, it lets Galactus and the Fantastic Four have action because this is not the main universe where they have to be like, oh, this is kind of getting out of hand. Why are there no other heroes stepping in? They definitively say that these are the only heroes in this universe, which helps. It looks amazing. The score is amazing. Everything about that type of stuff in the movie is amazing. Nothing bad, no negatives. There's like a 20-minute segment in space, not a single bad shot. Galactus, Silver Surfer, all their powers look really good. One of the best looking MCU movies, one of the best scores in an MCU movie. Some of the best characters and character interactions and family dynamics in the MCU, which is what I was really expecting and hoping. Here's what I really want to talk about, which is like my main thing I wanted to talk about in this video, is with the Fantastic Four, they're obviously a family. That's what they are first. They're a family, they're superheroes, and then scientists, astronauts, all that stuff. But they have to be a family first, and family has connections to each other, right? The Fantastic Four in past iterations, even in the comics, and even in this, some characters have stronger relationships with some characters than others, you know? So, like Reed, for example, his strongest relationships in this family are Sue, because that's his wife, obviously, and Ben, that's his best friend. But we still get scenes, and really good scenes, with Reed and Johnny. Same thing with, like, Ben, because Reed is his, like, best friend, like we just said, and Johnny's, like, his brother. but we still get scenes with him and Sue. And the same thing go for Sue and Johnny. They're siblings, and they have connections individually with both Ben and Reed, but they still get connection with the other ones. So we still get scenes with all them interacting. We get like every single possibility, we get a scene with it. Like even if it's like 3 characters, a select 3 characters, and then another select 3 characters, and then, you know what I mean? Every single interaction type that you want, you get out of this. And I think that's a really good decision. You know, I think Sue steals the show, honestly. I think Sue is the heart and soul of this film, and I really like that. Johnny and Reed were my favorites, and that's what's going to lead us to the negatives. Ben, nothing negative about him. I just wish we got more of him. And the positives, I want to go back to them real fast. Galactus and Silver Surfer, I said they look amazing. They're done really well. Silver Surfer is very cool. Johnny, they have amazing scenes together. Galactus is really scary, really comic accurate, very cool. I wish we got more of Silver Surfer and Galactus, though. Not that we didn't get enough of them. Ben, I felt like it was kind of like we didn't get enough of Ben. With Silver Surfer and Galactus, it's like, oh my God, they're so cool. I wish we just got a little bit more. This movie was also kind of short, so I'm like, bro, you could have gave us a little bit more time with them. But, you know, that costs a lot of money. So, yeah, those were the positives, and some of the negatives. Those were the only real negatives I had. And then everything else was just kind of story decisions, right? And like I said beforehand, I don't know the full story, so I can't judge it. I can judge it based off what I've seen, but maybe it has potential to be better, right? I'm not going to spoil anything. It's a spoiler-free review. There's one decision at the end I think people will be like split on and kind of like torn how they feel about it. And I didn't hate this decision. I think it leads to some very emotional scenes and very strong connections in the family, very powerful scenes that had me even almost tearing up. And I don't love the decision, but I also don't dislike the decision. And seeing what comes after the decision justifies it a little bit more, in my opinion. There's a couple other decisions in the movie that I can't really defend in that same way. We're not going to spoil them, like I said, but I'm interested to talk to people about this, like when we can spoil it. Another thing I want to point out is like how just another negative, nothing against this movie, just like why do we have to wait so long to see them again? That's how good they are. This is really like, it's a negative, but it's a positive. I cannot wait to see them in Doomsday. Pedro Pascal, I could strongly see him being one of the new faces of the MCU, with more time, obviously. Like, personally, I think he's right up there with, like, this is going to be something that it's just a personal opinion. I don't think many of you will agree on it, and that's okay. I think with time, he could be up there with Captain America, Chris Evans, and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. But they've had over 10 years to build their stories. This is Reed's first movie. I think given that time, I think he can be there. I also think Tom Holland Spider-Man can. I think a lot of these characters can be, but will they be? Who knows? But yeah, I honestly can't wait for Doomsday. The post-credit scene, huge. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, that's going to be my review for Fantastic Four. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know how you guys thought the movie was in the comments below. Peace out.